Yo, what up? It's Tory Gray from Tory Gray Music, obviously. I'm in here. I'm gonna do basically a walkthrough of the things I did on how I mixed DJ Zenas' Supersonic. Just recently released. Very great song. I love it. Very different. Very. I think we need it right now because it's a very dope song. Very different. A spin from the non-norm. You know what I mean? So basically, what I'm gonna do, I'm working in Studio One, and we're gonna see how I went through and did what I needed to do. All right. So let's take a quick listen.
Just say you love me, girl, and I will give it to you. Mesmerized by how you make me feel. Just say you will. Your arms around me, Sunk in love, I'm drowning. Supersonic, surfing on a nebula. Out of this ozone, we just go on. Yeah. Energies attached. Ooh, further deep, the black. So just say you love me, girl, and I will give it to you. Mesmerized by how you make me feel. So just say you will. Arms around me.
So that's the gist of the song, right? And so let's talk about the first thing that I took care of, which was the drums. Okay, let me get rid of this. All right, so the drums, man. The drums was very important to me because it provided that vibe as far as the way the song rocks together. Okay, let's see here. Turn all these off. So let's start with a kick. So these drums were pretty much played live. I don't know about the kick drum. It might have been played on an MPC, but basically I needed that kick drum to come out. So I put the BX console on here. Actually, this the 9000J series emulation, and let's hear it. Oh yeah, much fatter. Okay. Compressed heavily to control the peak. 2-to-1 ratio. Because it's in peak mode, the threshold is a little bit higher. Release was at 0.7. Wrote off some of the frequencies up to 1K. I boosted around 4, pretty substantially, about 5 dB. Cut around 1.5. Cut around 500 and boosted everything right around 105, and it sounded a lot fat. And I just basically drove the output knob into another EQ. I just needed some of that. I kind of wanted to get some of that back because I like how I toned it and shaped it. See how that, I shaped it. It's kind of visual, but and then I clipped it. I just needed that to just really I needed some of that crunch. But not like the crunch that it originally was. I needed this crunch to be nice and smooth. Let's hear the snare. Yeah, check that out. And the snare had a reverb that I didn't like. I just needed it to snap. So I put a nice expander on it to basically clean up. It made way for the rest of the mix to come through. And it just kind of gradually gets rid of it. Compress it very lightly. Boosted it at 9K just to get some crack out of it. Boosted it at 300 to get some body into it. Very simple. Okay. What I do with the perks. So that's basically a crash. Maybe a few other things here. Here we go. Yeah, not much going on. I just needed to compress it. That's it, lightly. Let's listen to the hats. So the hats were played on a live drum set, and I needed that to come out. So the auto gain feature on the Brainworks plugins, they, you know, the lower you bring the threshold, the higher the volume goes up. And I needed this to come out some more at around 4K, so I boosted around 3 hertz. Not too much up at 19K. Boosted about 1.5. Cut out everything below 55. And that was pretty much it. Then I just wanted to clean up that boxiness around 400. Listen to that. Yeah, no one wants to hear that. Yeah. So then the next step, I needed it to punch a little bit more, so I put the Transient Designer from Neutron, Transient Shaper rather. And all that is pushing those initial transients forward. So that kind of gave it a little bit of motion. And then I stereo spread it with the S1 Imager from Waves. You can get this in the $99 Waves Gold bundle. Well, it was $99 on Black Friday. And that's pretty much it. Let's listen to them all together. And so that's all running to a drum bus. How did I execute that? I cleaned up. I did a lot of cleaning up and tightening up. Boosted at 7 or 8, rather more like 8K. Boosted it about 3 dB, 2.5. I cut around 145. I just needed this to be out of the way. Like, let's take a listen to this. Yeah. Unneeded, unwanted frequency, and then boost it near the right below 50 hertz, just to give it some more chest bump. Then I use the SPL Iron. I love this compressor, man. Just to give it some life. I drove it pretty hard, 4 dB into the compressor, and all it's doing is just attacking and smoothing everything out. And then I put a clipper, because at a certain point, my fill right here clips, but I needed it to, yeah, it's like the toms. And like, for some reason, I couldn't get it to smack through. So I just drove the input super loud, just so that I can get it to come through. And all I did was clip it at the end of the whole deal. And then I ran through another, like a complete mix bus here. And basically just could use it as a level controller. Added some more high end with the back CQ. That's nice. Use the bus compressor on to control it even more. This is from T-Rax. I love this one. And then another clipper just to catch those last few peaks. Okay. And that's the drums for you. Let's mute that. Let's go to the bass line. The bass line was very important also. So what you're hearing is, it sounds funky now, but what you're hearing is a side chain where the kick is coming through and the compressor on the bass track is listening to the kick, and every time the kick comes in, it attenuates the bass to give space to the kick, and it kind of gives it a push-pull feel, or a push-pull motion, so that the kick can come through nice and not be cluttered. Just compressed it lightly to make it smooth, a smooth compressor. And then I did the side chain within the SSLJ plugin using the key function. You just turn that on, and then boom. In Studio One, routing is pretty easy. You just hit this, select the thing you wanted to listen to, and bam, look at that. It's listening to the kick. See how it's knocking it down? And so on the kick, I just boosted a little bit of the high and high mid so I can get some crunchy, okay? And then there was this tone right here that I really did not like. Yeah, and I just got rid of it. And then use the limiter on the bass line to basically just, level it, make everything sound even and not so crazy. Let's hear that with the drums. Very nice. So now it's not completely, it sounds cohesive. You feel me? So instead of trying to EQ the low end out of the kick, and it allows me to leave the low end in the kick without sacrificing the punch of the kick in the low end, and without me having to boost the, do a whole bunch of EQ moves to move the kick and the snare, the kick and the bass together, and make it mesh together. So it kind of worked out. Actually, it did work out, rather. All right, so strings and things. This is my bus for everything pianos, keys, and strings, right? Excuse me. Pianos, keys, and strings, okay? And how did I manage this? So basically, let me get rid of this. I love the folder tracks in Studio One. It's so easy to clean up my views here. And so I was able to, let's see here. There we go. I can see everything now. So we have an EP. I just made a copy here for the end, but a synth melody, some fade out effect at the end, the effects, and the guitar. I typically don't usually put effects in there in the strings and things bus, but it worked out because it all kind of, it's very tonal, very melodic. So let's listen to the keys and all things together. And so it's really it, man. Oh yeah, and then there's just like at the end of the vert or the part, it's like that drop and the guitar drop. So let's see. On the EP, what did I put on the EP? Nothing. So I guess I just wanted the tone of the SSL console, because I noticed on all these I didn't really do anything. Yeah. Didn't do much of anything on any of these. I just needed them to be, Oh, I see what I did. It was more like I did a high pass, a low pass filter, and cut off some of the high end. I didn't do anything on that one. But some of these just needed to be cleaned out. Like, let's see. Yeah, that flute was very shrill. So I had to cut it out to make it a little bit more lo-fi, you know what I'm saying? Create some space for everything else. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I didn't do a whole lot. Now, I did do on the bus some compression with the Townhouse compressor from BX, or from plugin lines and BX, right? So the thing about this specific bus compressor is that it really, like, tonality wise, it brightens things up. It opens things up. So check it out. Not only does it bring up the level, but it just make things sound open. And it's very light, very light. And I just brought up the gain about 3.5 dB just to compete with the rest of the song. Let's hear how it sounds together. Oops, muted that. Should not have. Okay, here we go. And you can tell that this beat was structured very well. Space for the verses, hooks, obviously it's pretty obvious where those are. Alright, and so that's that. Now let's talk about these vocals, man. So Zenas is great. He really he allowed me to be very creative with these. And so he sent his vocals over with a phaser, and I was like, yo, that's dope. And so I was like, he's like, let me take it off. I was like, no, leave it. Leave the phaser, because the phaser was just such a dope idea to make things just sound wavy as far as his vocals go, right? And so let's listen to his verse here.
Supersonic, surfing on a nebula. Sway out of this ozone.
And it sounds real super lo-fi, but you know, it worked for me. I liked it. I think it's like the direction that I thought it should go, right? So clearly, de-esser, that's a given. Everybody knows a de-esser needs to be on a vocal, especially if you have an individual with very strong S's. Zenas has very strong S's.
We just go on, yeah, energies.
So in this particular vocal, there's a lot of because of the phaser. It created a lot of resonances that I didn't like. So I really had to scroll and work with that. So check it out. Resonances and pockets of boxiness, right? So I just got rid of those. And that's pretty much what those cuts are for. And then I have a dynamic EQ to kind of control the lower portion of his voice to make his voice sound even across the board.
So just say you love me, girl. Supersonic, surfing on a nebula. Yeah. Sway out of this ozone, we just go on.
As you can clearly see that it pokes out pretty strong. So I had to basically attenuate that by 10 dB. And so Autotune, he already had some Autotune, but I just needed it to tighten up, so I put Autotune myself. And this is my favorite channel strip right here, you guys. Well, my favorite channel strip for this tone. It's based off the Neve. It's the Lindell 80 series plugin. And basically, I needed that old school vibe, the old school tonality, and it worked out.
Supersonic,
brightened it up,
surfing on a nebula.
At 16K.
Out of this ozone, we just go on. Yeah. Energies attached.
Oh yeah. And then I boosted at, correction, I took out at 200, because again, that low end of his voice is pretty strong.
Supersonic.
I drove the input in the preamp section pretty high because I needed that grit. And I compressed it.
Surfing
very
on
simple,
a nebula.
very simple. Yeah. I didn't really need a gate, so I turned that off.
We just go on.
And then another de-esser.
Yeah.
Just to get rid of some of the harshness, because he did have some harshness in the upper range of his vocals, even without S's. So that de-esser just controlled some of that, okay? And then the same story with the rest of his vocals here.
Energies attached.
And this is in the hook too. Actually, that's not the hook. That's the intro.
And I will give it to you. Mesmerized by how you make
Very
me
similar
feel.
processing.
So just say you will.
So the cool thing about this is based off the Focusrite console. And the cool thing about this one is it has an exciter where I can actually bring up some of the excitement in it.
Arms around me,
Boost it, boost and cut, boost and cut. It's about finding the tone you want. Okay, and I'm not gonna go through each of these too much. Okay, but I will tell you that the 76 compressor from T-Rex is pretty fire.
Sunk in love, I'm drowning.
I wanted this to be smashed, but somehow sound also very smooth, and and it worked out that way. So I four ratio, input it really high, and I brought it back down, and the attack and release are pretty fast. I can't really tell you exactly how fast that is in milliseconds, but they're fast enough to catch it, slow enough to release it to make it feel smooth, okay? And a de-esser. Boom. Simple.
Drowning, 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 baby. Dripping with emotion.
Verse again.
Passion.
Now, how did I get everything to sound super wavy as far as the reverbs and the ambience? H reverb is so dope, yo. So I used this one to capture the tone. Check it out.
Hot like ether, baby. Bodies bringing fire to life.
I really wanted that tone to carry out, and it sounds amazing. And then I wanted to kind of keep the wavy sound going. So what I did was I got this Valhalla Shimmer, and what this does, it just takes these tones and it's a reverb, and it takes these tones and just drags them out way far. Check it out.
Never knew that it could be so hot.
But what I did, I cut off everything below 1500 because I wanted the wavy feeling, and I added this thing called the God Phaser to phase all of that and make it sound wavy. Check it.
Passion hot like ether.
And then stacking this on top of the main reverb. So it makes the whole thing kind of mesh together. And then I had to do a little bit of automation. Automation is, I'll talk about that later. A de-esser to control the harshnesses again, because sending all this volume into these things will get it up there. And then I basically just cleaned it up here. Cut out everything that I didn't need. So that's that. I think this automation is in the wrong spot now that I look at it. Hold on. I'm not even sure. I think it might have got shifted, but whatever. It's neither here nor there now.
So hot when you come on top of me, don't stop. Love runs deeper than the ocean.
Yeah.
When you come on top of me, don't stop. Love runs deeper than the ocean inside.
Yeah, either way. So that's what I call my phase verb. You guys could try that out. I think it's dope. And then a parallel comp for the buses, or for the vocals to add that extra volume. Let's hear it without it.
Baby, so just say you love me, girl. And I will give it to you.
It just adds that extra little bit of body. So how did I accomplish that? I boosted it at around 200. Obviously, that's where a little bit more of the low end. I only boosted it by 2 dB. And then I smashed it. I did the all buttons in, turned the input all the way up, and just kind of blended the volume in up to about, just like maybe 39 dB, and gated it when I didn't need it. I don't even know if this gate worked.
Mesmerized by how you make me feel. So just say you will.
It really just adds that extra bit of something to the vocals. And then I saturated it with the Alicia. Where you at, girl? the Alicia, whoops, character plug-in, if I can get it to show up. There we go. And I basically just shredded it, and it's very light.
We just go on.
And I just blended that in. It's another parallel type of effect, just to bring it in, you know, just to bring it all together. And a doubler. And that's just to make the vocal sound wide. I sent only a few of these to it. It just adds that subtle little bit of flavor, ear candy that you really can't hear. It's more like a vibe, a feel. Okay? And that's pretty much that. What did I do on the main verse, the main vocal bus, okay? So all that went into another de-esser to just get it all together. Supersonic. This right here just to open it up. And again, a de-esser. Just to control, just to get it to where it need to be, to sweeten it up. It's a lot of plugins, but lightly used. Everything kind of builds up into its own portion here. Now, I do analog summing. So all this is being sent out of my interface back into a D-box, and then the D-box sums it into 2 channels, okay? Vocals left and right are going, and the bass left and right, the drums left and right signal, and the strings and things, keys and all that stuff. So it's 8 channels, but 4 stereo pairs, you feel me? And so that's all getting sent to the D-box and then summed into 2 stereo channels all together, okay? Then that goes through my 2 EQPs from Clark Technic. They're Pultec style EQs, and obviously the left and right, one for each, and I EQ those, okay? And so, because it's hardware, I have to, and I do different songs with the same equipment, I have to write down the notes here. And these are the settings I use for that. And so once it comes out of the EQP, it goes to my warm audio bus comp, and that basically controls the overall level of the entire thing. I call it my master bus, okay? And let me tell you, ever since I got these items, it's really improved my mix. Not only just because I can hear, it sounds better, I can hear more. So the nuances sound, you know, I can hear them and then go back and make adjustments. So basically, oh yeah, matter of fact, let me just bring the camera over so you guys can see it. All right. Not that. But yeah, so here is my bus, basically my mix bus, okay? EQP left and right, D-box, and then everything goes into the bus compressor, and then from the bus compressor straight back into my interface. And then I record it down into the DAW. And that's how I get my and that's how I get my my doggone analog mix back into, sorry, technical difficulties, back into the DAW. All right. Yeah, camera's back where it needs to be. Okay, I need to get a stand. But anyway, and so here's what it sounds like. You've already been listening to it through the settings of the mix bus. And so this is basically the final result here. I'm going to turn the EQPs off. Sounds completely different without it, right? So I'm going to turn on the EQPs again. DAW.
Surfing on a nebula.
Crazy.
We just go on.
And then the compressor back in.
Energies attached. Ooh, for the deep, the black. So,
and that's how I mix. Sometimes I'd use the outboard gear, sometimes I don't. And then you can also see the mastering plugins I have. I was going through a different master, but we decided to go a different route as far as mastering goes. But that'll be another class. And so all this does is, like I said, when it goes back into the interface, it's like recording a microphone. So my inputs, I just turn the inputs on here, run it back to the start from the beginning, and just hit record. And it'll record everything I've done all the way up to the outboard bus compressor, including the EQs, and record that back into the DAW. And then from there, I can either print it to go, to export to MP3 or WAV to send to get mastered, or I can just master it right here in the plugin, right here within the DAW. And that's how I do the things, man. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm going to be doing some more different songs. I'm definitely going to be getting into some more hip hop. I noticed that there's a lot of there's some hip hop YouTubers, but not in the sense of being a true mix engineer. So hopefully I can provide you guys with some cool things, some dope content, show you the gear I use. I got plenty of gear. I'm pretty much going to get more. And if you guys subscribe or become a donor, I'll be able to get some more. Shout out to Warm Audio, shout out to Clark Technic, shout out to Dangerous Music, shout out to definitely Plugin Alliance. You can obviously see that I use a lot of Plugin Alliance. Clearly, I'm a Plugin Alliance fanatic. And so I've been doing this for quite some time. I'll probably do an intro video so you guys can check me out and, enjoy. I hope you guys have fun. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you want me to provide you some more details on how I do things and the choices I made, let me know. Any feedback is welcome. Negative, positive, thumbs up, thumbs down. Obviously, I want the thumbs up. And subscribe because I'm going to be coming out with more videos. Hey, this is Tory Gray Music, and I'm out.